Do you like freedom? And will you join us? Do you want to find the lost city of Atlantis? Well, hang in there, bud. Because together, we're gonna find it here at TekWars 2.0. Well, here at TekWars 2.0. The lost ancient cities of your ancestors' past will be brought to the horizon of our surface-level panopticon. Boof and Warren won't do you wrong. You can break the cuffs just like I did here at TekWars 2.0. Here at TekWars 2.0. Here at TekWars 2.0. TekWars 2.0.
Hey everyone, this is Warren. Welcome to another episode of TekWars 2.0. I'm here with two distinguished gentlemen on the Twitter internet sphere. We have Glyphosate and we have Eric, or rabsef. We'll be maybe switching between those two names, but I want to thank you both for coming on. I'm really excited for this episode. I think we're going to talk about a lot of really interesting topics. So, how are you guys doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Also, I'll be playing the role of Glyphosate until he's able to get his audio working. So, just wanted to clear that up. I have three names, therefore.
Glyphosate, is your audio good? Oh no. We lost him. The CIA's... No, we can't.
He wants to know if you can hear him.
Okay, so we're having some audio malfunctions, but that's okay. It might just be cutting out. I would check your audio video preferences on Skype and see what your inputs and outputs are to make sure it's to see if it's good.
It took me 2 weeks to boot my planet. That's good stuff. I have breached my... So we're talking about Urbit planets, to clear that up, and I have breached my planet 25 times. I think I'm at the top of the leaderboard for idiots in the Urbit sphere, so don't feel bad about that.
I would put myself as one of the big... I think me and Glyphosate talked about this before on who's the bigger Urbit idiot, and I think I take the cake for that, because every time I have an issue, I have to go to you, rabsef, to get my Urbit help. You're like my Urbit support guru. And
the only reason I know is because I've already screwed it up that same way. So it's just a lag time thing.
We just had on Minderfolden, or John Pritchard, who was talking about how he also had like 20 personal breaches and crashed the entire publishing platform on Urbit from like... I forgot what he had done, but he crashed the entire publishing platform, not just for himself, but for everyone across Urbit.
Yeah, he is slightly ahead of me in terms of destroying the network. I did bomb a chat room by accidentally pasting in 90,000 birth dates from something I was working on at work.
I remember
and it crashed.
that.
It crashed that chat, and then everyone who was looking at that chat too. Good times.
Yeah, I was talking to him about how I really early on in Urbit, back when like there weren't very many people on the platform, I posted an ASCII art of Curtis Yarvin, and I pasted the whole thing into Dobzod Urbit help, and it ended up crashing my planet and Urbit help for like 2 days, and Palfun had to like work me through fixing my planet and also work through fixing all of Urbit help. So that
guy is a saint.
He's a real saint. He's a legend. I think I just heard Glyphosate. Glyphosate, you there? Oh man, we're gonna have to. I have faith that he'll come in and join us. But in the meantime, I guess we can talk about rabsef, your COVID preparations and what you thought was going to happen, what you did, And because you were prepping like a fucking doomsday prepper. I remember the photos. You went out and bought a gun, but I'll let you talk about all of that and then what ended up actually happening. So let's hear that story.
I have just gone full, well, I guess it's 180 degrees, not full circle on this thing, because I started out in early mid-January, absolutely panicked about this, and we talked about it. I have, 50 masks, that are ready to go. I have MREs that I bought from the military supply store. I have everything you could possibly imagine to prepare for this. Like you said, a SIG P365. I got everything, imagining that the world would end, and we have not gotten there. And I feel like the more I see other people worried about it and starting to wear their masks in public and trying to quote unquote socially distance, and the more it becomes a Facebook meme, the less I believe in this. And I don't know if anyone else is with me there, but I can't believe it anymore because nothing is happening. It's not sufficiently devastating. And so I find myself less and less likely to like wipe down my groceries as I bring them in, and more apt to walk through the hallways with my mask off. And I don't know. It's very frustrating.
I'm at the point to where I believe that this is going to become just endemic, and it's going to just live with us like the flu seasons, how we have those. There's just going to be coronavirus seasons for the rest of our lives. And we're going to hopefully have a vaccine soon, or some kind of coronavirus shot that you'll take seasonally, and it's going to become endemic like the flu has, and it's just going to be something that we're going to be living with. But the return to normalcy is going to be a pretty interesting one. I think how you said there hasn't been any kind of turmoil or anything. The only turmoil that's happened is total economic collapse. Which is Glyphosate's username, actually, one of his. And I wish he could get his mic working. I think he can hear us, but he's if you're hearing this, you're welcome to join in at any point if you do get your setup fixed. But we're going to I guess get into some COVID predictions, and with regards to actually he's downloading the iPhone app so he can use it on that. But rabsef, Eric, you told me the most interesting thing I've probably heard in a while today that I hadn't been thinking about was, let me pull up my notes, pretty much how the only thing that happened was the consolidation of corporate wealth and the empowering of waiters and like
service workers. I got two things before we jump into that. I just want to say I was at the grocery store yesterday and I saw this absolute Chad who had the biggest calves I've ever seen on a guy who doesn't work out. And he was with his super hot wife and 3 kids. None of them were wearing masks. His wife had a baby in one of those baby Bjorn things on her chest. And they're just walking through the grocery store, not paying attention to any of the signs that say you got to walk this way down that aisle and that way down the other, and just absolutely bossing it up in there. And I was very proud of that guy. So I want to shout out the guy I saw it at the grocery store the other day. But yeah, no, so the thing that I see happening the most is that any business who can't really survive who doesn't have a reservoir of cash,
which is most businesses, like almost all small businesses.
Right, yeah, small businesses. They are just going to be done for. And I work with people who are concerned about the state of business acquisition right now, and they're all paranoid that there's never going to be another phase of acquisition that will allow them to make money. And I don't think that that's the case. I think that we are just 6 weeks out. Yeah, we are 6 weeks out from the most massive consolidation of businesses into large conglomerates that we've ever seen. I actually saw Logo posted something recently on Twitter where he was saying when businesses acquire each other, they should have to create hyphenated names of all of their acquisition path. And I think I think that would be a really good way. Yeah, I think it'd be a really good way to remind people that these hyper conglomerates are all of the things you used to remember as separate now under one Hydra beast that is just controlling your life.
Hey, yo, is this shit on?
Oh, look what we got.
Yo, we got the man.
Yeah,
Welcome,
cut that out.
Glyphosate. How are you doing?
Yeah, sorry about that, man.
No worries.
Doing good.
Doing good. How are you doing during this COVID pandemic?
Pretty good. I'm pretty, I don't know if I'm on the rabsef train though, but doing pretty good. Hold up.
In terms of predictions of conglomeration buyouts, or in terms of prepping?
We're not
No,
buying
in terms of flipping on it and going to the opposite, going to the trutherism. I'm only halfway there.
Oh, okay. So I think
so bad I've been on Reddit's lockdown skepticism board to see what they're on about. That's how bad it's gotten for me. I'm going to Reddit for information.
that seems like
Yeah,
what
probably fucked,
Elon
man.
Musk has been doing, because I actually have his Twitter page pulled up because I wanted to talk about this. Did you guys see his absolute meltdown on Twitter the other day? Yesterday?
Yeah, I think I saw
something.
some of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Tell
think
us.
Yeah,
he's
go over it, man.
browsing the Reddit COVID skepticism boards as well, because he's tweeting out the Star Spangled Banner lyrics and telling people that it's fascism that we're living under because we can't leave our homes, and that we're all under mandatory house arrest for no reason. And then he just goes out on a whim and tweets, "Tesla stock price is too high, IMO," which is like definitely against SEC regulations and probably will have like major repercussions for him. And then I think like an hour later, he tweets out, "I am selling almost all physical possessions, will own no house," and then replies to himself, "My GF at Grimes is mad at me."
What's he gonna? Where's he gonna live? Does he have a proposition?
On Mars. He's gonna go to
Yeah, okay.
Mars. He's
I
gonna.
mean, he's like halfway to a Q poster at this point.
Yeah, he's following the White Rabbit. He's like logo right now. But it's crazy with these, what you were saying, Eric, about the conglomerations, that this is going to be, in history books, we've learned about the corporate bailouts, right? And that's when the government has stepped in to bail out the corporations. I feel like this time around, it's going to be a whole chapter on 2020, the year of corporate bailouts, except through privatized buying of corporations through other corporations. So like Amazon buys Longhorn Steakhouse, or Applebee's, or Disney is going to buy fucking, I don't know, like hardware stores and fill them with like Mickey Mouse stuffed hammers or something. And this is the leading up to Blade Runner, and Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, where it's set after a nuclear World War Terminus that has ruined Earth from nuclear fallout. I feel like this is what's going to happen, is we're going to have these consolidations of mega corporations, and they're going to buy out every, not even small business, but every business smaller than them. And they're going to have the biggest monopoly, become the Tyrell corporations of Earth, and they're going to start developing like nuclear weapons, and there's going to be wars at Disney World where like Amazon is drone striking Disney World, and then Disney retaliates by like nuking an Amazon fulfillment center. And that's like the Blade Runner future that we're going to be living in 2020 and 2021. And it all matches up with Philip K. Dick's prophetic predictions. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but that's a pretty esoteric way to look at it. But I do see it as a possibility.
It's not the
No,
way that
I
I.
mean, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, this is if you had taken the clear pill, this is all very obvious at this point.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say I didn't think this was the way we were gonna get to patchwork, but it seems like
I
this is the way we're gonna get to patchwork.
this is the way we're going to get to patchwork, is through COVID. Who would have thought it would have been a Chinese virus that led mold bugs ideology into fruition? Who knows? But it's really crazy. That I really do see that as happening, and that was a really salient point and a really brilliant point that I never even thought about, was the idea of these massive buyouts of smaller corporations to go under this giant conglomerate. It reminds me of the cable companies, the oil companies, and now this is just the third run of all of that.
And the train companies too. Like, I mean, this,
Mm-hmm.
we've seen things like this before. It's just this time I think it's more all-encompassing than ever before, because there's never been, I don't think, as equalized a global economy that is both equal and actually global. Like, I'm sure during, a long time ago, the countries were relatively equal in terms of their economic prosperity when they weren't really acting globally. But this is affecting everyone, and also there are corporations that act in all of these countries simultaneously and can take advantage of it at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most obvious one here is like Starbucks or any other kind of restaurant where you have, at least around me, like all the independent coffee shops are totally done. They've already given up. They've already posted, closed for good notices. And I mean, Starbucks has the capacity to just, they're not necessarily going to buy them all out, but just completely dominate, because they're the only ones with the cash to just kind of sit there and live through this.
And that's the thing, is like with what Eric was talking about, is whether it is a buyout or whether they do just kind of throw in the towel and close their business for good. I feel like Jeff Bezos is going to walk into like JC Coffee Bean, whatever, local coffee store, and be like, here's $1 million. I know you guys need it. Your company is now mine. Like he did with Whole Foods. And
yeah, like there's no paperwork. It's just he just shows up in his mech suit or whatever. You've seen that pic, right?
No, is there
No.
one of him in a Gundam?
A fucking mech suit.
No.
Yeah, he's in a fucking Gundam. yeah, man. I'm gonna post it. Don't worry.
Oh my god. Yeah, and so that gets me to the idea of we're talking about Blue Origin, which is Jeff Bezos' space company, which is kind of on par with Elon Musk, who we were just talking about, his SpaceX. Blue Origin, I feel like that's like a secret kind of shell company for they saw this coming, and they're secretly developing nuclear weapons for World War Terminus for when the mega corporation war breaks out between Amazon and Disney. And they're just going to start blasting each other. You're going to start seeing like those Amazon drones that you all heard about, the delivery drones. They're really just going to have like small bombs attached to them, and they're going to be like drone striking Disney World. And then Disney's going to retaliate by sending in like Mickey Mouse mascot costumes into fulfillment centers with machine guns and killing everyone inside. This is like the truest form of COVID has brought along the truest form of both all neo-reactionary thought of patchwork and accelerationism into one, and it's the perfect bundle. And I'm sure Nick Land could write like a really good sci-fi novel about all of this.
All of Elon's satellites are actually just kinetic weapons. He's just waiting to drop tungsten rods from space.
No, exactly. That's is that not like the case? That's going to be. I mean, they're already up there. All they need to do is fly up some kinetic weapons and attach them to the satellites, and then they'll start beaming down, and then it's going to be like Amazon versus Blue Origin, or Amazon Blue Origin versus Disney, and then That's like
NBC Comcast.
Yeah, and then Comcast comes in with like 5G radiation to eviscerate everyone and explode their minds from like miles away. And then Elon Musk comes in with his satellites. Like, this is the future of warfare, is mega corporation total destruction. And that's what I see happening. It's pretty esoteric and wild, but I've been listening to a lot of David Icke, so maybe that's where my mind is at. But I think Agenda 21 is not too far off, and 2021 is going to be the year of the megacorps. And I think that I'm glad we have Urbit to live through the. I mean, when Elon Musk uses his EMS weapons to pulse down the internet, we'll have Urbit to talk to each other on and be able to witness the glory of all this futuristic warfare. You're going to be seeing like F-1 bombers branded with Amazon Prime logos shooting Amazon Prime branded missiles into Disney World, and Mickey Mouse's head goes flying into the air.
They all come with a QR code that says "Don't miss it."
What were you gonna say?
I don't think our physical. I was gonna say I don't think our physical bodies are gonna make it. I mean, I know there's plenty of hardworking people at Talon Corporation that are working on stuff where we can just upload our consciousness, to Urbit, and that's gonna be the future. There's no we're not gonna survive those kinetic weapons. We're just all gonna be posting with our uploaded consciousness onto Urbit in the future. It's the only way to make it.
Group chats are the new patchwork. I like it.
Yeah, I really like that idea. That really is the future. Whoever develops that in Hoon first is going to get a Galaxy grant. And the Galaxy owners of Urbit are going to be like the most powerful people in the world, aside from the Bezoses and Musks and whoever it is that owns the Disney Corporation these days.
You're lying to yourself if you think they don't own some dark galaxies already.
Oh, true. They definitely... I don't know.
Just waiting for that unlock.
Are they Urbit pilled? Do you think so?
I mean, what's his name is... Oh, God, I can't think of his name. From the guy who funded Tlon.
Peter Thiel.
Who helped. Thank you. I could not think of it. Yeah. I mean, he obviously he talks to those guys, right?
Yeah, Peter Thiel is so ahead of this whole thing. He's like bunkered down in his New Zealand 10-mile deep bunker right now, or his seastead. That's been like he's been a large proponent of seasteading and like patchwork similar ideologies. So I think that Peter Thiel is going to be like the overlord of all of the technocracy once all this goes down. Like in the physical world, Disney and Amazon are going to be battling it out, but we're not going to have like mass casualties because everyone is going to have, as Glyphosate said, their minds uploaded onto Urbit, and that's where we're going to be witnessing the apocalypse from. And that's what Blade Runner got wrong, is they didn't see Urbit coming.
Do we have to listen to Eric Weinstein all the time if that happens?
Oh God, I hope not. I've heard Eric Weinstein is not the nicest guy. He has some pretty interesting thoughts, but I've heard from inside sources that he's quote unquote a douchebag to talk to.
Really?
Yeah.
Very surprising.
At like parties, he's like cocky and like doesn't want to talk to anyone under him. He seems to have some ego problems, but I shouldn't be saying that in case he's listening, because I have some projects I want to pitch to fucking Teal Capital for some VC funding. So I'm sorry, Eric, if you're listening. I love you, and I think you're a great guy and not a douchebag.
Maybe he respects your honesty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go. See, I'm an honest man, Eric. I'm an honest man, and I'm a good guy. I don't want any trouble with anyone. I want to talk about Trumpbux really quick. So who here has gotten their Trumpbux?
Not me, man.
Yeah, me either.
I got mine.
John,
Oh.
John, you're a fucker. You're the one out of all of us who hasn't gotten their fucking, or who has gotten their fucking Trump bucks. But how does it?
Well, dude, apparently, like 100 million people got it. It's like, what, like a third or something?
Yeah, that's like
How
a
much
third
did
of
you
the
get?
country.
It's $1,200.
Nice, man.
Oh,
Yeah, I spent it
dude,
all on crypto.
that feel when.
Hell yeah.
That's what you got to do. That feel when no Trump bucks. That might be the title of this episode.
Yeah.
But you were complaining for a while.
What would you
John.
have spent them on if you got them? What would your shopping list have been?
I think crypto's a good one. I would have probably wasted a lot of it on like fancy. Well, you can't buy fancy dinners now, can you? There's nothing else to buy but crypto.
Yeah.
You could still like take out food. I got wings the other day.
Yeah, but
I
that's
was
not like
craving
the
wings for
fancy.
months.
You can't go to like
It's not gonna add up.
Cipriani and go and have like a nice steak wine dinner down at
There's 12
Cipriani.
bucks.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
that's such a waste. If you only get $1,200, you spend it on like what 3 dinners? Like I don't know. That's fucking retarded.
Oh, John.
Well, that's what I would have done. Thanks a lot, John.
Yeah, John, you're a real asshole here. I
All right,
think.
I'm sorry. What I meant was I wouldn't do that. I'm
But
sorry.
what you did do is you
But
spent
if you
it on
have
crypto.
like a lot of money, then go for it. But you know.
I'm pissed about it because I think that the reason I didn't get my Trump bucks is because I filed my taxes in a timely fashion, and I happened to make a little more money the past 2 years than I did in 2017. And had I not filed my 2019 taxes early this year, they would have used that year for the gauging. And I feel like being punished for being a responsible citizen is kind of shit. So,
Well, I never did my 2019 taxes. I only
fuck you guys, both of you
Yeah,
said
that's
that.
I
yeah,
was
no,
just
same
gonna
fucking
say
thing.
I never through IRS, if you're listening, this is in Minecraft, and theoretically I may or may not have done my taxes the past. Oh, I should not say this. I possibly didn't do my taxes the past year or two, and I was very irresponsible. So that's why I think I haven't gotten my Trump bucks. But Eric, your predicament is a lot worse because you're being punished for being a nice civil servant of the U.S. government, doing your chipping in for people's social security and welfare, and you haven't gotten your $1,200. And glyphosate, you said you haven't gotten yours?
Nah, I just make too much, man.
damn.
Oh, so you're just rolling in it. You don't need Trump
I'm
bucks.
rolling in it. Nah, but I need a fucking planet. No, not a fucking planet. I need a star. I was gonna buy a star, man.
Yeah, if I got Trump bucks, that's what I would have done. I would have bought either more Bitcoin or a star. Completely honest. And my intentions with the star, since I don't know how to, as we just talked about, were like maybe like the 3. I don't want to speak for you guys, but you guys kind of said it yourselves. We're like possibly the 3 worst Urbiters. So me being a star owner for myself, like I would not know how to operate it and set up a business on it, let alone like figure out how to like do anything with it other than spawn planets and give them out. So that would be my like I would be like a star philanthropist, and I'm not even kidding, anyone who, and I think I might buy a star anyways from Pax Dickinson, who was a editor-in-chief or something, chief technology officer for Business Insider, and he got me too, so he's like on our side, he's in our sphere, and he's been in yeah, he owns a galaxy, and
Whoa.
yeah,
Holy shit.
yeah, so he has I think he spent $600K to like $800K on his galaxy, and he said to contact him, this was like 3 months ago, to contact him in 3 months, and he could sell me a star for like a nice over-the-counter reduced price, and I might have to follow back up with him to buy that star. But the only reason I would have the star is to just like be like, who needs a planet? I'm giving out planets, and just to be like the Oprah of Urbit, to give out planets to the needy. Like, you get a planet, you get a planet, you get a planet. You're all getting planets. That's
So,
all I wanted.
What's
the
to
like
do.
the
dream, bro.
going price of a planet right now?
$10, $15, something like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's not
planets are
bad.
cheap, but
so it varies then. Like every star like varies how many planets it has,
yeah,
or is it
wait,
like the
John,
same?
you should get your. This is good for
Dude,
you
you've been
because
talking about Urbit for like so
exactly
long, and I just
this
don't get it.
this is good for you because we have two Urbiters on who or Martians, I guess is the term. We have two Martians on, and I've been talking about Urbit to my friend and co-host John for so long, and he has no idea what it's about, what
Okay,
it
wait.
is.
So
So, John, get all your Urbit questions answered here
okay,
now.
well, my first question is, I know it's written in a language called Hoon, and my question
Wrong.
is, like, was Hoon invented for Urbit?
Yeah.
There's Hoon and Knock. It was written in
Yeah.
Knock, I
Got it.
believe. Um,
Yeah, Knock auto compiles, and so does the Hoon core. So like, Knock is this Turing complete language that's all just integer. So like all of the opcodes for it are just integers, and
Mhm.
it functions on a binary tree, and then that creates a superordinate language called Hoon that is also just completely ridiculous and absurd looking, at least at first go. And yes, both of those were invented for this purpose.
so it's not like you can use if you have knowledge with C++ or Java or JavaScript, you can't take that into Urbit and start designing apps using those languages that you knew, even though that does give you a real steady head start on learning Hoon. You still have to learn Hoon in order to develop apps on the Urbit infrastructure. So it has its own specific languages that I believe Curtis developed like 10 years ago in order to develop applications on Urbit. And the cool thing about that is it's federated, but the way it's decentralized is anyone can develop any application and any Martian can use that application. So it doesn't have to be applications developed by the Talon Corporation, which is the parent company for Urbit. Anyone can develop an application in Hoon and then deploy it, and then any Martian who requests access to it can go ahead and use it. Is that correct?
Yeah, and they're actually doing a hackathon right now that I'm trying to participate in. There's two interesting things there. First, a lot of the like Taloners say, "Oh, well, it's actually easier to pick up Hoon if you haven't learned a programming language first." And that's a bunch of horseshit. They're completely mad, but I think we knew that anyway from them working there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like people actively develop. I know a guy who's doing an ABI for Ethereum on it so that you can like read and interact with contracts there. And there's a lot of other people who are doing interesting stuff for this hackathon, but they're trying to really get to like the like launch velocity to make it so that other people are developing applications because they explicitly don't want to be the central source of applications in the Urbit environment.
What are they going to add though? Because right now it's just like chats and the clock and weather. Like what like what?
That's
it's
all
not
you need.
bad, I'll take it. Yeah. That's all there is to life, really. But
I think the ability
what's in the pipe?
The biggest thing they want to add that they've been working on heavily is the ability to safely store and send crypto payments to each other. So that would be another big important thing on Urbit to be able to do, is to be able to like pay people through Urbit and have it be like a complete OS and that sorts, even though it's a chat and a clock. I mean, that's kind of all you need. And then the ability to pay people is, I guess that would be so that you don't have to use PayPal or Coinbase or Gemini or any of that stuff. You could just do it all through the Urbit infrastructure.
There's a couple other ones you saw. Maybe Bronze Jaguar posted about this recently. also known as Takrit Socrypt, I think is his Urbit name. But
Yeah.
he's making it so that you can like currently if you want to share images, you have to use some external source, and that's because Urbit doesn't have a mark to like handle like JPEGs and shit like that. And he's fixed that, it looks like, so you can host and source your own image files from there. And I think after that, things like uh, podcasts should be hosted through Urbit so that you don't have to go to Gumroad or Patreon or whatever. And if you have the payment system and the ability to host those sorts of data files from your personal server, I think that would be a good move for them.
And I'm really proud to say that that move was, I think, I don't want to take all the credit, but it was initially, I've gotten a lot of messages from the people developing the podcast apps that it was a lot for the frustration of wanting to listen to TekWars, but the Gumroad app being so shit.
Hell yeah.
And the wanting to be able to listen to TekWars on Urbit. So I think TekWars played a bit of a part in getting that movement going. So that's pretty cool.
So is this going to be the first podcast on Urbit? Are you committing to that?
I'm going to commit to it. This is going to
Hell
be
yeah.
Currently we just launched a Patreon, but we'll see how long that lasts because we all know how Patreon is. And then I'm using Gumroad. I've been using Gumroad for the podcast, and I just got word of this thing called Gumcast. So listeners, if you're listening on Gumroad, there's now something called Gumcast, where you can go on and get an RSS feed to be able to log into your Gumroad through Gumcast and then take whatever podcasts you want and put them into any RSS available. I'm retarded. I don't know how RSS fully works, but you can pretty much get the podcast from Gumroad and implement it into your favorite podcast app that's easier to use. So Spotify or Apple Podcasts, which are much more easy to manage, and they actually have you can actually open the episodes on them, unlike the Gumroad app, which I get a lot of complaints about. But fast forward buttons, rewind buttons, just better UI. So people could start using Gumcast if you're listening to this on Gumroad. That might be a really helpful pointer for you guys. But yeah,
Are you still getting money from Gumroad, or am I just paying the ether at this point? Like, I didn't change my subscription because I'm lazy. I don't know if that's still going to you or how that's working.
Yeah, we have the old TekWars product is still up, so that's still
Okay.
whoever I've sent out several email blasts because I don't want to be like ripping people off or anything whatsoever. So I've sent out multiple email blasts like there's 2 new products. The old co-host, who I won't name, has his own show, and I gave the link to that on where you can find his show if you want to subscribe to that, or you can subscribe to the new product, which is gum.co/TekWars2 for TekWars 2.0, which is where all of these new ones are getting uploaded to. The old Gumroad product is not going to be updated with files anymore, so I would recommend canceling, and this is what I said in the email blast, is to cancel your Gumroad subscriptions for the original TekWar Fan Network podcast, or whatever it was called, and resubscribe to either TekWars 2.0 or my ex-co-host's new podcast. So people can do what they want.
Not
Or
mutually
both.
exclusive, right? Yeah.
There's enough space on the internet for both of us, so whichever they please. But I want to talk about, I guess we can get back into Urbit at another point, but you, Eric, you brought up a really interesting point that I had no idea what the fuck you were talking about, to be honest, and I want to hear you expand on it. So what are you talking about with abiogenic oil theory and the and the hydrocarbons on comets and Mars, and the with regard to and how this relates to the Big Bang and a galactic war between who knows who, the Trisolarans from the Three Body Problem series. Which,
Well,
by
you
the way,
spelled it all
they
out.
can't
Man.
let you know.
But
Say again.
wait, what was that?
Oh, I was gonna say this is the stuff they can't let you know, man. This is the real. This is
Right.
real knowledge.
Yeah, this is the real secret. This is what the Space Force is secretly being developed
Exactly.
for.
Breaking it down here.
But Eric, I guess if you want to get a Pentagon visit and a FBI visit for revealing accidentally discovered classified information, could you expand on that you were talking about earlier before we recorded?
Yeah. So like, I have been hearing about abiogenic oil production for a while, and like there are certain schools of like geology in Russia that subscribe to this theory, and there are several like I guess not so well respected after they made these theories geologists who sort of agree with it and who have proposed the theory. But the idea is that like oil is not of a biological origin like we normally are taught, and that like dead plant and bacterial matter are and oceanic stuff are not actually the origins of the oil reserves that we find. No, pretty much no one in the quote unquote respected scientific community agrees with that theory, but they don't have like damning proof outside of saying that certain like helium isotopes that are found in oil reserves are indicative of having come from the surface rather than coming from the mantle of the earth. So the abiogenic people think that there's some like natural geologic process that causes oil to be produced and hydrocarbons to be produced from the in out as opposed to from the out in on the earth. But there's like some stuff that supports the idea that I think is really interesting. So like oil reserves have been shown to sometimes refill over time if we stop pumping out of them. And we found oil in like non-sedimentary rock, like caverns or whatever. So like igneous rock will have a pocket of oil reserve in it, and that doesn't really make a lot of sense because oil should be coming from sedimentary rocks, right? And then the ones that I think are the most interesting are like all of the gas giants in our solar system have hydrocarbons in their atmosphere. We've seen Halley's Comet has like hydrocarbons in it. So every time it passes by us, well, I don't think every time, but the last time it passed by, we were able to do probably mass spectrometry or something like that to see that there was hydrocarbon offput from it. And I don't think that makes a whole hell of a lot of sense unless there's some explanation for hydrocarbons being outside of the Earth, which is the place we've seen the only life that we're aware of. So, like, thinking about it, I'm going to say logically, I think that there are two explanations. Like, either oil is abiogenic in origin, and that makes sense for it being sort of omnipresent in the universe, or like oil is biogenic in origin, but its presence in the universe has to be explained some other way. And like I think that the best way of explaining it is some massive universal catastrophe in the past, and that I think explains a couple of things really well. It explains the Fermi paradox because like the universe was blown up in the past and we're the only people left for some reason. Like we evolved from the 10 bacteria that made it through this massive explosion that took out all of the sides participating in this war in the past. It explains oil in the universe, all of the carbon that was left over from those entities that decided to have this war. It turned into the oil reserves that we see around and in places that we know don't have any life, or we suppose don't have any life. And we think of the universe as having been created from this massive condensation and then expansion, or at least expansion of matter, and that everything is, proceeding out from this central point. And that sounds a lot like what a gigantic bomb would do to me. So like I really think that there's something wrong with our theory about how oil is produced, and that maybe there is some explanatory force behind some past war explaining why we're alone and why we have oil in a universe that's supposedly depopulated.
So the idea
So
of
essentially, what you're saying is, sorry,
no, go ahead.
like what you're saying is the only way for the biogenic guys to actually rest on any kind of firm assumptions is there had to be dinosaurs living on Halley's Comet and Mars and etc.
Fuck
Like
yeah.
that's the only way they can win.
Hell yeah. I like that idea better than my idea, actually. I think that's a better explanation.
But any term, so abiogenic would mean that it developed during like some kind of explosive result, or
It just means that it's not of biological origin. So like the classical theorists of abiogenesis of oil on Earth think that there's some like geologic force, that there's some way that carbon is condensed down into hydrocarbons in like the mantle of the Earth. But that also, I don't think, explain that we have found like tons of oil, well, not oil, but tons of hydrocarbons in some of the comets that have flown by us, right? And that, like, just some process that's happening at the core of something that's fairly dense because of heat doesn't explain to me how a comet that's like mostly ice can have a bunch of hydrocarbons of like methane and stuff trapped in it. So like if abiogenesis makes sense, I don't think that it's geologic process. Maybe it is still biological in origin, but it's coming from some like diaspora of a bunch of dead creatures who fought in a past universal war.
we need to get Graham Hancock on to get in on this. I feel like he would be. Are you familiar with Graham Hancock?
Oh yeah.
What was that?
He's like a archaeologist who believes in like some pretty out there theories of past ancient civilizations being here before we were, who were much more intelligent than we were.
Excellent.
And it has a lot to do with like the building of the pyramids in Egypt and stuff like that.
Tepe.
Yeah, Göbekli Tepe. I was just watching his I fell asleep to for like probably the 10th time. I fell asleep to either David Icke playlists or his Graham Hancock playlists with his debate with Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson, and Michael Shermer. I love that one on Joe Rogan.
That's good.
But no, but that's super interesting because I remember even Compot tweeted something about oil being something not biogenic but coming from space, and but his theory was something of it being in the atmosphere or something like that, but it was something of it to do with aliens, and that would make a lot of sense that oil is, I don't know, John, actually I'm going to pass this off to you because you're an oil investor, and I want you to ask about this because I know you and I are on the same wavelength, and I think you know what I'm going to ask.
Well, I'm assuming you were going to ask how this would affect the oil market if like this theory became like mainstream. Is that what you're going to ask?
Yeah, like how I guess if we think oil is this extremely rare commodity that is only found deep in Earth, if it's not actually the case, if it's floating around ethereally in space. And I remember an article of like, this comet might have trillions of dollars of minerals on it, and there's going to be a space race to start mining for it. I think instead of precious metals and minerals, they were talking about rabsef's or Eric's theory of abiogenic oil on these comets. So if this was the case, how do you think this would affect oil markets? Because John is a really big oil investor. He plays the oil stock market.
Yeah, just like blindly though, like Grand Theft Auto, like used to those types. Yeah.
He got all of his investment training on Grand Theft Auto's stock market.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That's better than I can do.
I mean, it's been working so far, but we'll see what
It
happens.
has worked. He's passed off his financial advice to me, and so far his blind investments seem like prophetic. They've really been paying off, but we're not going to give out any financial advice. But Eric or Glyphosate, what do you think would happen to the oil markets if this abiogenic theory is mainstream or is proved?
Well, I think
I
it
mean,
depends.
yeah.
I think
Go
it
ahead,
depends
Eric.
on. Sorry, I think it depends on which method is right. So, like, if it is a geologic process, then maybe these things can refill. Like, so the explanation for reserves refilling over time that common science approves of is that it's just like seepage, or that we have better means of extracting over time. And so it seems like there's more, but it's actually that we're just doing a better job of extracting. So if it is geologic in origin, then yeah, I mean, it decreases the value, and it makes my, like, at the same time that I sort of hold this idea of abiologic oil production, I also sort of subscribe to, like, Greerian uh, peak oil theory, and so, like, I think that would be destroyed by the evidence that oil is abiogenic in origin. But if it's made from some past superwar, then it as well can't be reproduced over time, like until we repopulate the universe and then blow everyone up again. So I guess it depends on which method we're talking about.
So I guess we're gonna have to wait for what we talked about earlier, the Megacorps buy-up,
Right.
and the Amazon Disney nuclear holocaust to destroy everything and turn us all into oil, and then the aliens on the Trisolaran star system are going to have massive oil colonies coming to Earth to mine our oil. Is that the case?
That's what I'm thinking.
That's super interesting. Glyphosate, were you going to say something on the matter?
No, I mean, I think Eric got him, man. I mean, certainly, ExxonMobil is fucked, and all of their propaganda, all the billions of dollars they pour into it, is they need to fight this. They can't let this knowledge get out.
Yeah, this is forbidden knowledge. This is the gnosis that has to be hidden in a secret tomb under a dusty vault miles underground. But we're here on the TekWars 2.0 podcast putting it all on blast, and we're all going to get triple letter agency visits right after this, I'm sure. Hopefully
What do you
not.
what do you think of, like, do you read John Michael Greer and, like, his ideas of peak oil, or, like, what's his name, Chad Africa on YouTube? I don't know if you're familiar with that guy. He does a lot of philosophy review, but he's talked about how peak oil intersects with, like, green energy, and how in fact there was that, like, Michael Moore documentary that came out kind of recently. It wasn't his documentary, but I think he, like, executive produced it or something, and it talked about how solar energy and wind energy, the means of producing the devices that capture those energies, are really inefficient, and the actual production of those devices are not they're only funded by the existence of oil energy to allow us to, like, dig for the rare earth elements and then produce the plastics and stuff that's used in the creation, and then those devices themselves can't really be recycled meaningfully and can't be used for a significant period of time. Do you have any thoughts about that?
I'm so retarded on the subject that I thought when you were talking about Greerian theory, you were talking about Scott Greer. So that's where I'm at on it.
Fair enough.
But can you...
But I think it makes a lot of sense, Eric. Like,
Yeah?
it makes a lot of sense. Like, this, even at its best, this stuff is not generating, I don't think even electricity required to dig all that shit out of the ground and, to kind of cover the cost of disposing of it.
I think that I read somewhere, and this may be apocryphal, so forgive me if I'm wrong here, but like Germany invested in a bunch of green energy technologies exclusive of nuclear energy for obvious reasons, and they were able to like make their grid operate primarily off of those green energies, but their pollution as a result of energy production actually went up because you have to have backup, natural gas and other types, coal and whatever, other types of energy production for when those grid elements have to come offline because like the sun's not always out and the wind's not always blowing. Whereas France, who has invested heavily in nuclear technology, actually saw a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions as a result of their direction. So I mean, I think that part comes into play too. Like you can say that you're green all you want, but since those excluding like geothermal or something, those technologies are not always online and people are always using electricity. We never talk about nuclear though as a solution to that problem.
I hope this isn't a dead end, but are any of you guys, fingers crossed, red pilled on thorium?
Is that the reactors that are like state, whatever they call them, the Generation 5 reactors or whatever, that are super clean and can run for forever in like a contained environment?
Yes. Yes.
Is this where you can like recycle it too? You can recycle the thorium, or
Yes, you can. I believe so. Thorium, it would be, I mean, that's been like the most based kind of future of energy production that has been talked about on the internet. And I guess it's big oil or something that's keeping us from using the power of thorium to generate our reactors and our world energy. But I don't have much to say about it. I was hoping you guys might be able to educate me more on thorium, but all I know about it is that it's super based and it has like the potential to power Earth like in clean energy, like Bruce Wayne's Dark Knight Rises reactor, where he was going to power Gotham with his nuclear reactor. I believe that Christopher Nolan was really talking about thorium that whole time.
That's interesting. I think it's like you can make really small reactors too. And so I think I've seen stuff about like you could have distributed reactor environments so that you don't have to have these centralized giant ones with big radioactive rods in them that can melt down in the same way.
Yeah, exactly. It's super interesting.
can we do like thorium portable phone chargers? You just kind of put it in your backpack and just unlimited. It just charges your iPhone up in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, dude, that's exactly what we need. You can like walk around powering your Raspberry Pi with your thorium reactor. Like, this is the future. This is what we need in 2020. Like the future is now. The Blade Runner tech that they said that never happened. When did Blade Runner say to take place? Wasn't it 2019? And there was all that stuff where it's like it's 2019 and none of the Blade Runner technology is here. I beg to differ. I think that we are well in Blade Runner territory with what we talked about World War Terminus and the development of these megacorps through corporate buyouts of smaller corporations and turning into huge conglomerates and monopolies that are going to completely stomp out the any small business, medium-sized business, large business. If you're not already a monopoly, you're going to be owned by one very soon, and the country is going to turn into patchwork brought to you by the mega corporations that we know as of being destructive and all-powerful, and we have not even seen the beginning of their power yet. It's going to be so huge, and once that happens, they're going to implement patchwork. There's going to be the Disney World state. So I guess like Florida, where they have Disney World, is going to they're going to like buy Florida, and then Disney will buy California, and the rest of the states will be divvied up between who can buy the most between those companies. And then it's going to be atomic warfare or thorium-powered warfare to see which mega corporation makes it to the top. And that's how we get to World War Terminus from Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, where it's total there's just one mega corporation that owns everything and has unlimited power after a total nuclear war of fallout, making the planet uninhabitable. And that's going to be the future, and we're going to be living in it, except our minds are going to be uploaded to Urbit to fly around on our ships and visit each other so that we're safe from radiation.
But this is actually all like extremely based in red pill. Like, in case all the doom and gloom sounds scary to you, this is actually very good. I mean, because at the end of the day, who's owning everything? What is Disney World? What is the Amazon Corporation? These are monarchies, right? Which is exactly what the doctor ordered. This is all very good. And I mean, I think the thing that no one wants to talk about, and that no one has been talking about, you just saw one blip come up a month ago or 2 months ago, is who made this virus? Is it Nick Land? Is it some sort of Nick Land, Curtis Yarvin joint op? Do you not think that Peter Thiel is not capable of funding biological weapons?
No, that's so totally true.
Remember did you guys see when fucking, what's the Russian guy's name? Dugin accused Nick Land of creating the virus? Did you see that?
Yes, Alexander Dugin accused Nick Land of being patient zero, or of like developing the coronavirus.
I believe that because it makes sense. You know what I mean? It makes 100% sense. And I mean, no one's discussed this.
And I talked to Nick Land, and he said really early on that he's evacuated China. I don't know if he's gone back, but I thoroughly believe. And then on our podcast with Curtis, he said that he's going to a place he's moving out of the Bay Area and going to a place with, quote, a lot of sheep, which sounds like a Kanye West Wyoming ranch move.
Exactly.
But I think that's a secret I think they're all really going to Peter Thiel's seastead, and they're plotting on how to implement their years and years of theoretical writing and works, and to bring them into fruition, and to have our reality finally become neo-monarchist mega technocracies, where this is totally what's happening. Exactly what we're talking about is what's happening. And
but I mean, we have the mindset of they're just being opportunistic here, but we have audio, video evidence of Yarvin buying fucking puts in the beginning of January and making 30-40x, and we have video evidence of all of them running around super early, just telling everyone that they knew about this. Like they didn't just realize this. They're not that smart. They created this shit, man.
That's the true red pill. Oh my god. Glyphosate, you just dropped the biggest red pill nuke of all time.
This is good. This is good news, man.
Finally some good news with the cover, Delicious Tacos' cover of the fucking giant explosion. He might be in on it too. Who knows? This is really some good stuff. This is finally
he's
some
supplying
good
the
news.
Filipino women.
Yeah, exactly. They're all in their bunkers and they need women, so he's the one flying in the Filipino women to or men, I guess, for Peter Thiel, but to keep everyone company down in the Seastead bunker, wherever they are.
I was just looking at some stuff about thorium, and I guess one of the one of the proposed reasons that thorium hasn't taken off is that it doesn't create fissile afterproduct, so you can't make like yellow cake to blow shit up with it. And that lends to the idea that these corporations, and not even just big oil, are behind it because they need their weapons for the impending World War.
Yeah, this is. I mean, what did Philip K. Dick know that he wasn't? That he knew something when he was writing "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep." He got the timeline completely down. He got the World War Terminus style of our future of warfare completely down. He got the mega corporations completely on lock. He predicted that we were going to have a giant nuclear war through the mega corporations. Philip K. Dick is a prophet in all of this. Do you guys read a lot at all? Do you read any like sci-fi?
I read a lot of sci-fi. That's like the only thing I can stomach, really.
Yeah, same. I've dropped the philosophy books and only picked up sci-fi. That's all I've been able to get into heavily. Who are some of
I gotta
your?
read this three-body problem that you've been talking about. So I haven't read it
Oh, I
yet.
talk about it nonstop. It's so good. It's
Yeah,
so
you're really
good.
killing us on that.
Yeah, I have to do my duty because I have a very strange belief on the three body problem where Tom DeLonge of, do you know To the Stars Academy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No.
Tom DeLonge, To the Stars Academy is
Well,
they're
so
the
who's Tom DeLonge? Tell us that first.
he's the John, do you want to talk about who Tom DeLonge is? Because you know better than I. He's the
Um,
Blink 182.
yeah, he was like, I guess, the main guy of Blink 182. He was like a singer, I think a guitarist, but then he broke off. I guess they had a falling out or something, and he came up with his own band, and then he quit that band so he could create what's that? What's the thing called? To the Stars Academy?
Yes.
Yeah. Then he made To the Stars Academy and basically just like studied UFOs and
And he
I
works
guess
with high-level Pentagon officers, and his board members are like the like highest-ranking UFO Pentagon researchers in America. And so that's what To the Stars Academy is based on. But what he talked about on Joe Rogan's podcast is that it's pretty much, and I feel like he revealed too much in saying this, and he seemed to be off cocaine or something because he was really going off and saying things I feel like he shouldn't have been, possibly breaking his NDA. But he was talking about how To the Stars Academy is going to be not only a research group for all of this, but also an entertainment enterprise similar to Disney, but with the scope of UFOs in order to create a series of entertainment to prepare the human public to get used to for the reality for when the aliens are here, so that it's not so shocking, so that people are more acclimated to the or desensitized to the realization of the fact that there are UFOs and there are aliens and that these are things that are real and exist and are monitoring our Earth. And the reason I shill the three body problem so much is, one, because it's a fantastic book, but two, I believe that Xi-Ching Liu, the author of it, knows or possibly works with To the Stars Academy, and its plot, I won't give it away, but it's so on par with recent developments of alien technology and things that have happened, like radio signals being detected and contact with Earth. And the whole premise of the book is pretty much about preparing the human population for an incoming alien invasion from a civilization in a triple binary star system known as the Trisolarans, a trisolar star body system. And I feel like the relation there and the reason why I shill it is because in the same matter of the Space Force being like, that's why the Space Force is being made, is to to have preparations for this alien invasion. And if people would take my advice and read the three body problem, you would understand it, that the Space Force is really gearing up not to explore space or to fight other countries that have space dominance, but to fight in unison the aliens that are coming from the triple binary triple star system on I almost said Göbekli Tepe. I forgot what it's called. But there's a star system like 56 light years away or something really close that these
Betelgeuse?
not Betelgeuse, but it's I'm forgetting it. Something near the Andromeda Galaxy.
Alpha Centauri?
Alpha
Okay.
Centauri, yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know. That's why I shill it so hard, is because I believe that everyone can be clear pilled if they read this book and realize that this is the real preparation, and it's not science fiction, but it's science reality and science preparation to get people to be desensitized for the incoming alien warfare that's going to happen. But that might be.
Do you think that the like Pentagon and Navy videos of like UFOs, that's not a psyop then? This is all part of the coordinated disclosure effort? Or what do you think about that?
Well, wouldn't that be a psyop then if it is a coordinated disclosure effort? I guess it could be both would be my answer. I think it's very interesting that they're disclosing this this stuff to the public, because it all kind of adds up to this timeline that we're getting at, of this global realization that this whole thing is real. And so I think that the true psyop is that they're preparing mass human civilization for an incoming alien warfare. That's what I believe, and that's what I believe the Space Force was invented for, not to fight foreign adversaries, but to team up with other space forces to fight together against the threats against the human race from extraterrestrials.
So if we form ternary Urbit star systems, are we going to be able to be on the side of the victors, or are they still going to consider us enemy combatants? Because I don't want to fight with the humans against the the three-body star system people. If they can do interstellar travel, they're going to win.
Well, I guess as Glyphosate said, it's not going to matter much, because our minds we're not going to be living as human organisms. Our minds will be uploaded to Urbit, and that's what we're going to operate from. So unless the Trisolarans can hack the Urbit mainframe, or whatever you would call it, they this is so esoteric and crackpot, but if I think we'd be safe, and that's why we want massive Urbit onboarding, and that's why I feel like, as Glyphosate said again, Peter Thiel knows too much, and that's why they developed enough planets for one per everybody on Earth, so that everyone can possibly upload their consciousness onto the Urbit network and not be totally destroyed in their physical presence. And maybe that's why Elon Musk is pushing Neuralink so hard. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that. We've gotten into real crazy territory now, but I'm digging it.
No, I mean, it's not crazy at all. I mean, I want to reiterate that I have it on good authority that Talon is putting massive amounts of Peter Thiel's money towards this application for Urbit. Like, this is 100% true.
Are you going to get the Neuralink, Glyph?
I'm not Neuralink pilled. I'm not familiar.
Neuralink
that's
is
like,
yeah, you can explain it, Eric.
So Elon Musk has been trying to develop a brain computer interface, and the way that his specifically would theoretically work is like nano wires being inserted into the brain in different key areas to like pick up signaling. But I could see how if you had enough of those, right, you could just start offboarding the computational effort of the brain into some other entity, like an Urbit.
And let us not forget that Elon Musk developing Neuralink and Peter Thiel developing Talon Corporation's mind uploading software, the two of them were good friends who worked together to develop PayPal. So they might still have a secret ongoing relationship to be working on this together. So perhaps that's
100%.
the real red pill, is that Elon Musk is currently working with Peter Thiel to develop an Urbit mind uploading software to save us from total decimation of our information of thousands of years of buildup to not be destroyed. This is.
But I mean, I hope you guys all realize that at the end of this, we have to do some Heaven's Gate kind of shit on the seastead to consummate the uploading of our consciousness.
Heaven's Gate freaked me out so much when I was a kid. I remember that happening and seeing it on the news and just being, I don't know, devastated that people could think and do what that group did around a comet, But maybe they were right.
Eric, yeah, exactly. Maybe that you don't have to feel bad for them because perhaps they're on that comet right now and they are looking down at us laughing at our petty COVID virus and our petty oil problems, and they're riding Halley's Comet right now laughing, and they were just
Honestly,
years ahead.
I hope that they are, man. Like, that would be better than just a bunch of people wearing Nikes and drinking the Kool-Aid,
I mean, Curtis was alive back then, right? So that's not out of the question.
Curtis was the real. It wasn't Doe and Peep that was behind it. It was really Curtis pulling the strings behind Heaven's Gate cult.
As he ever is, man.
Oh my God. We've gotten into so much territory. This is probably one of my favorite episodes ever. This is incredible. The ground that we're breaking and covering is, I feel like we should be the new CNN or something. We're covering news that hasn't even happened yet, but it's so undisputably true. This is
You're really
incredible.
the Walter Cronkite of podcasting. This is good stuff.
Thank you. I take that to heart. I appreciate that. So are there any more topics we want to get into, or we can end it here? We covered a lot of space. Is there anything I'm forgetting, or anything you guys want to talk about more?
I actually have one thing that I've always wanted to know. I don't think it'll take too long, but
oh, no worries.
What is the investment case for an Urbit star or an Urbit galaxy? Like, I like the hype. I'm gonna buy it anyways. I don't care. But like, what's the rationale for this thing, for stars or galaxies being worth money, especially with a star? And there's 86,000 or whatever that anyone can pick from. Yeah, 65.
Oh, well, 65,000 planets that it can generate. I don't remember how many stars there are. I'm sorry.
Some factorial shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or not exponential. But why is it worth fucking $3,000, $4,000 or, almost $1 million for the galaxy?
Well, I will say that I happen to own a star, and the one thing I will
Congratulations on that. I want to just say you really pulled that off. A day before you got your star, you were talking to me about how badly you wanted one, and I was like, "Oh, dude, me too. We got to hit some grants or something." And then the next day, you were like, "I got it. I got mine," and I was so hyped for you. But continue what you were saying.
Though, you talk about giving out planets, and I've done a little bit of that myself.
Oh,
over
you're the king of
Twitters.
That. You're the king of that. You're my inspiration for that.
Be forewarned that every person you give a planet to will bitch constantly about how your star's not performing enough, or they didn't get the most recent OTA, or they can't hide this person or that person. It's a pain in the ass. So I think part of the value proposition is you will be a service provider in the future, like akin to an ISP, and only more like a software distribution platform. So maybe something like a distributed Steam operation. So you're providing software that has some value, and people pay you theoretically both for either the issuance of a planet or the opportunity to be a subordinate to, well, I shouldn't say a subordinate, but to have you as their sponsor so that they can receive those valuable softwares and well-performing architecture that you're offering. That's at least how I've kind of understood it.
Yeah, I'm in the
same. But the thing is sorry, go ahead, Warren.
No, I was just going to say I was in the same place as you, Glyphosate. I want to buy a star, and I probably will regardless, but I do not fully understand the value proposition of the investment vehicle. Or I don't think it's an investment vehicle, but the price for ownership of one. Other than that, planets are a certain price, and you can spawn X amount of planets. 65,000. So I don't fully understand either. But what were you gonna ask, Glyphosate?
I was just gonna say, like, there's what, some 80,000 or whatever stars, or 60,000, I don't really remember. What all it takes is for one of them to charge 0 hosting fees, and everyone's gonna go to that one, right? So then that you're totally fucked of trying to generate any revenue from this thing. That's my understanding.
Yeah, that's what
That's
I
fair.
kind of was worried about, as well as what if a smaller scale version of that is how star owners that use it to sell like Urbit.live or Planet.market by Bronze Jaguar, it's like we are kind of almost fucking over his business a little bit with our planet philanthropy, because instead of people going to buy planets from their star markets, we're just giving them away willy-nilly. Like, hey, need a planet? We'll just give you one. So I guess that kind of throws a wrench into it, but I don't understand it enough to have any answer to that. But I'm sure there is one. I don't know if you know, Eric.
You guys should also look. I mean, the answer is we only have so many stars, and also Planet.marketplace, or I don't know if I have the name right there, but they're doing hosting service as well, so they'll host
Oh.
your planet for you, so you don't have to deal with all of the horse shit that we have to deal with in terms of keeping our planet up all the time.
Oh,
And I
that's
think that's a big
genius.
value proposition. Yeah.
What,
Wait, they'll host your planet or your star, or what's
so
which
that you
one?
don't have to set up a droplet on your own and do the whole run process. I think, am I getting that correctly? They'll host it for you so that you don't have to do the whole, like how you mentioned Glyphosate, it took you 2 weeks to set up your
Yeah, yeah,
Urbit
yeah.
planet. They would, I guess if you buy it off Planet.market, you can. And by the way, Bronze Jaguar, you better, I'm plugging you heavy, so maybe you could sponsor us or something. Throw me some spare change here. Go to Planet.market for your planet needs. They will host it for you so that you don't need to. When you go on Urbit.live, you buy the ID for the planet, and then you have to do all of the setup of buying the droplet and hosting it on there and running all of the commands through the Urbit install docs. My understanding is that Planet.market, you buy the planet, and they do all the rest for you. Is that correct,
Yeah.
Eric?
Yeah, and Tlon has been saying that they are going to roll out technology like that as available to all star owners. So you could theoretically generate your own competing service if you had enough, server architecture to be able to do that. So that I think that would be another way where people would find it reasonable to pay the star provider. So let's imagine that this, the zero fee star service probably doesn't come with hosting space and uptime guarantees and that sort of thing. But other star providers might be able to offer that as part of that service.
Yeah, I heard that too. That's really exciting to have. I think that Urbit is going to go a long way. Hopefully, the more accessible they make it, they have so much potential to do a lot of great things. I remember I posted in Urbit Help when I was looking for VR headsets. I ended up buying one and I used it once and I haven't used it again, but I would use it if I asked Gallon, the CEO of Urbit, on Urbit Help. I said, when can we put on VR headsets and use our planets or ships as actual ships to fly through the digital hyperspace to other planets to communicate with them in a virtual hyper realm? And he said, as soon as somebody develops it on Hoon. And so if you're listening, and I know a couple of Urbiters, Martians, are listening to this podcast right now that work for Talon, get on that because I want to put on my VR headset and use my ship to fly around to Eric and Glyphosate's ship and communicate with them in full 3D digital hyperspace, which is like the kind of beta version of the Neuralink mind uploading process that we're going to have in the future, according to Glyphosate. I think that would be pretty cool.
It'll be like Second Life all over again, man. It'll be great.
Every time I take a chug of water, one of you say something funny that I almost spit it out all over my microphone. Jesus Christ.
Second Life and Hoon win.
Yeah, literally.
That comes up.
Literally, when are we gonna have that? That's what I want. I want Second Life on Urbit. The Second Life Urbit.
So I'm a little bit opposed to the VR landscape. Like, I really want Urbit interactions to become more and more of like a multi-user dungeon where it's like text-based and you have to like, go north to examine the cabin that you can see in the distance.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's what I want. I want that to be the interaction space so that you learn to think in the text parser language and everything is a text adventure from here until the end of time.
That would be sick. I remember when we were working on that 3D site that ended up totally falling apart, and I can talk to you about that later, Eric. There's a pretty funny development that came out of that on why that never happened, but off the podcast. But there's
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about, I think it was MUD is the acronym? Yeah, MUD dungeons to access each other's Urbit, like a text parser on terminal or something, to be able to navigate to other people's ships, and it would be like the Club Penguin of Urbit, rather than the Second Life of Urbit, and I'm all for it.
I can't wait.
So I guess I don't know. This has been going really well. Do you guys have? I'm kind of all flushed out of topics here that I had planned, but this was a great conversation. Do you guys have anything else we want to talk about? I can keep going however long, but we can end it here if we're kind of capped.
I'm good. You have anything, Eric?
I want to plug one thing.
Oh yeah, we'll get your plugs in for sure. Eric, what's your plugs?
I'm doing some, if you want to be the person who develops the multi-user dungeon like hyperspace for Urbit, we are doing Hoon lessons that are like tangential to the Hoon lessons that Tlon is offering. You can find us at hidevdanut / Hooniverse, and so you can jump on that chat room. That's HIDDEV -DANNUT Hooniverse, and ask for an invite to the group. And I do lessons on Sundays, and we're gonna keep doing those and hopefully like ramp that up to videos and some more productions over time soon. So check that out if you want to learn how to code in Hoon. Yeah, I'll see you there.
I definitely need to you offered me that a while ago because I'm so retarded at learning this stuff, and you said that this would be good for me, but I've bailed almost every Sunday. I've been either forgetting or too lazy to go on, but I need to learn my Hoon now that I know that it's going to be the future of mind uploading to save us from the Trisolaran invasion. I want to get my Hoon skills tuned up to the max. So I definitely will join you there for sure. So catch me there as well.
We're coding the controller for a thorium reactor tomorrow. So
oh hell yeah,
it'll be good.
Oh, it's tomorrow. Okay, yeah. Well, this episode will go up Monday, but tomorrow I will definitely be on it. And since this will be up on Monday, you guys can catch it next Sunday or this upcoming Sunday. And Eric, do you want to plug your Twitter as well or anything else?
Yeah, sure. My @ is rabsef. Well, actually, my @ is NHPRM, isn't it? I always forget because my name on there is Rabsef Bikram, but it's easier to spell NHPRM, and check me out there.
Okay, and Glyphosate, what are your plugs? You got what's your Twitter and anything else you might be working on that you'd like to plug?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Twitter is @_glyphosate. And honestly, the only thing I have to plug is just to trust the plan on Urbit, man. You know, trust the plan, drink the Kool-Aid, and we'll see you there.
Hell yeah. All right.
Wear
Thank
your
you guys.
Nikes.
Yeah, wear your Nikes and keep that change in your pocket to get onto the Haley Comet bus fare. And we'll see you in hyperspace. All right, I want to thank you guys so much for coming on. This was one of my favorite conversations yet. This was a lot of fun, so hopefully we can maybe even do a part 2 sometime or something. But thanks for coming on, and I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
The fucking Red Scare podcast, you know, where they go, see you in hell, but we're going, see you in hyperspace.
Okay, see you in hyperspace.